Hey guys, this is Ken McElroy, and you are listening to the Mailbox Money Show with Bronson Hill.
All right, so I wanted to introduce my friend Justin Breen. This is going to be a different type of interview. Justin is a very unique guy. We've had some great conversations. He wrote a book called Epic Business, which is a Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestseller. He's at Richard Branson's Island recently. But his whole thing is like that stuff really doesn't matter. The money stuff doesn't matter to him. What really matters is the purpose, the why, the vision, the what am I here to do? So all he does now is he spends time with visionaries, people that are not just business owners or entrepreneurs or do cool stuff, but somebody that actually wants to change the world. So if you want to change the world, or you want to discover your purpose, you're going to love this interview. You're going to learn about just ways people do that, what you need to do, even things you can do with your kids to try to help them discover their purpose, which is huge. And so, like I mentioned, Justin has a book, and he's also in some other entrepreneurs groups. But again, I think the biggest thing you're going to like is just his just candid approach. We had a great conversation around purpose, finding it, developing it, getting around the right people, all that stuff. So let's jump in. All right, welcome to the Mailbox Money Show. I've got Justin Breen here. Justin, how we doing today? You're outside in this kind of the shade, but the warm Chicago weather in April, which is great.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to be here. The eclipse just passed over, and it was very interesting to see that in real time.
Yeah, and you're right, kind of in the line of sight of where that was at, right? We didn't really get hit with that in LA, but you had to be pretty much almost 100% in the direct line of sight for that. And did it get completely black and everything? And a lot of people didn't experience that as well.
It was much darker here. We had 93%. I don't know the term, but my stepfather drove all the way down to southern Illinois, which is like 8 hours from here, because that's where it was 100%. So that's where he was today. I don't know if it was cloudy there, but here it was. It looked like almost like sundown. That's kind of how dark it was. Yeah.
Yeah, they say I think it's the last solar eclipse for I think till like 2047. Is that right? Or it's a ways out. I think they can predict the stuff ahead of time. But anyway, speaking of big picture stuff, I know you're a big picture guy. We talked a lot when we talked before we met. I had read your book, and then you reached out and we connected. I was like, just really been impressed with you and your stuff.
Thank you.
You've, been a part of a lot of different business mentoring groups. You've been a business owner and you have a couple businesses, but your passion really is to help visionaries, to connect visionaries who want to change the world. So talk to us, just give us a little bit of your story and kind of how you got to that place where you realize this is my why and what I'm here to do.
Yeah, it's I think it's interesting we're talking during an eclipse day, because sometimes people look at things, but they don't see what's really behind what they're looking at. And then something like today, I think, brings out awareness. So that's kind of how I live my life. I guess you would call it like an intuitive activator, just pure based on intuition and gut. And I've learned to just trust that fully. So if something is like bothering my gut or my heart, I really look into it. So I'll give you an example. Recently, I always had despised the word business, but I didn't know why. And then eventually I'm just like, all right, I'm going to look this up. So prior to looking it up, what I had done was just crossed it off in my head, or if it was on a piece of paper, just crossed it off and changed it to purpose life, but it wasn't enough. My intuition just said there was still something wrong. So I looked it up, and it comes from the Old English word bizignus, which means anxiety. So anytime anyone ever talks about business, 10x your business, 10x your anxiety. I'm working on my business. I'm working on my anxiety. Business coach, anxiety coach. So I just, well, it's just, and sales means Italian word sale, which means dull, dirty. So, people say these words, or they look at things and they don't know what they're actually saying. So I guess technically I have been a business owner before. The first book I wrote is called Epic Business. So oops. So it's just learning and then trusting that intuition. And then that leads to the the right vision and then the right people. I guess that's the easiest way to answer
Yeah.
that.
So for you, you had was it a marketing business, and I know you're also into philanthropy. So you've shifted and you've really made this your why. I know you and your wife have a group. It's a high paid mastermind that, people come, they're a part of, and you connect these visionaries. What is it about connecting visionaries you find to be powerful?
Because I've never liked business owner stuff because I don't like anxiety stuff and revenue count and like it doesn't matter to me. What I've learned is most of the time, not always, but most of the time, people that talk like that, they're just putting on a mask and then they're just growing their mask. It's very similar to the eclipse. They're blocking their true purpose, blocking their true purpose. And all I really care about is spending time with my family and connecting visionaries to serve humanity. Visionaries are the ones that help everyone else. And they don't want to hang out with business owners. They want to hang out with visionaries who are changing the world. And there's just two types of thinking. There's the linear playing not to lose, and then there's the exponential playing to win. And I just want to hang out with the people who are playing to win, and that's really who they want to hang out with as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you're in a room of people that, I think of somebody like Richard Branson who has 200
Right.
companies, and
Right.
you want to connect with him. It's like you don't approach him with a business thing. You talk about
No,
philanthropy. You're
no,
talking
no,
about
no, no,
things.
no. You're right. So
Yeah,
talk is meaningless to me. My wife and I just hung out with Richard Branson for a week on his
I saw
island.
that.
Right. Okay.
How
So
was that? Yeah, tell me
it
about
was
that.
fun. And so I asked him, I go, what's the meaning of life? Because I don't care about business owner stuff. And then he said he never started a company ever with the sole primary motive of making money. So, I mean, I knew that was going to be kind of somewhat of the answer, but I kind of wanted to hear it from him. There are two people, the rest of like living body life, goal is to just raise level of consciousness because when that happens, it's just like a magnet for others that want to do that. So the two folks I've met in living body form who are the highest so far, and I'm about to turn 47. One was Sir Richard Branson. He's way up there, um, if not full enlightenment. And then very grateful, just got to ring the NASDAQ bell at a closing ceremony. And I have zero business background or any financial knowledge at all, but one of my friends whose parents were sharecroppers, and now he's on the board of NASDAQ. So I like to
Yeah.
hang out with people like that because they don't make excuses and they don't really care about business owner stuff. They care about visionary changing the world, regardless of whether their parents were sharecroppers or not. But at that event met Deepak Chopra, and he's way, way, way up there on scale of consciousness, and it's really fascinating to see people like that in real time, and the magnet that is like the light that's like almost emanating off of them.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, and it's so much more powerful. Start talking about things that I think that's where we connected was, and you looked at me, we had a conversation, and you're like, yeah, but you're not doing it for the business, right? You're doing it to change the world. I was like, yeah, I am. I want to end modern day human slavery in the world, which is 20 to
Right,
40 million human slaves today, and there's so much
right,
power when we can get
right.
behind
Hmm.
things that actually matter. And I just hear
Yeah.
a story of this girl that was 14 years old and got rescued from Greece, who was from North Africa, and just when
Yeah.
she was rescued, just said, like my rescuer said, well, why didn't you come sooner? And just something to me broke and said, this is what life
Mhm.
is about really helping others. Um, so what do you think? I mean, why is it that a lot of, we're going to talk about some different things here, but I wanted to I just think you're a really fascinating person. I recommend everybody reads your book,
Thank you.
or your multiple books.
Thank
But
you.
what is it about? I guess for a lot of people that start out with, I think there's a lot of people that start out with, oh, I want to make some money, or I want to do this, and then they
Mhm.
realize, it's just not really going to be what I actually wanted, or not everybody
Right.
starts out. So what's that process that people go through? Do they have some sort of transformation or enlightenment, or just maybe an emptiness that happens when they get everything they want, or they think they do, and then they're like, I'm just not fulfilled?
Thank you for asking that. It's a good question. If it's okay, I'll answer it from a firsthand perspective and then what I see. Because if you're not a litmus test for people you serve, that's hypocrisy. So if you're not going through the same journey that others go through, or you're trying to serve the ones you serve, then I mean, it's ridiculous to me to talk about something if you're not actually doing it yourself. But um, so there's a four step process I've seen when starting a company that I think everyone goes through. Not the silver spoons, that's a different discussion, but four step. So one is you get pure getting, totally fine. I reached out to 5,000 people to find first 5 clients for first company with 0 business background. Totally fine. Then there's get to give. You're mostly getting, but you're starting to give a little. Like give 2 intros to get 10. Then it's give to get, so you're giving like 8 intros to get 2. So you're mostly giving, but you're still trying to get something back. That's where the non-visionary stop. So that's where the business owner or the consultant or the employee or whatever that is. And then the true visionary heart set mindset is you give to the people who get it. So I'll endlessly give to people who get it, to visionaries, regardless of whether I get anything back, because they get it. And they'll help everyone else who doesn't get it while they're being helped. So endlessly give. So that's 1, 2. Had made more money at the end of started first company in 2017. So end of 2018 had made more money in 1 year than I'd ever thought possible, and never been more miserable in my life. So like that doesn't make any sense. So glad I went through that, realized more money doesn't equal more happiness. In fact, it led to the most unhappiness. And now companies make much more money, but it doesn't really matter because I know that doesn't make me happy. And then 3, without being too specific, one of our newest members, he owns the wealthiest house in the country he lives in. It's in addition to many other houses, but the house is worth $35 million. $35 million. And he doesn't care about that because he wants his 17-year-old daughter to, to have a wonderful life. So one of our other members gave a presentation about VC in the United States. The main problem I see in the world is 98% of VC is controlled by men, many of them with ego. And so 2% is controlled by women. So one of our other members is one of the top VC for women purpose-driven companies in the US. So she was giving a presentation about that to our group. And then the person who owns the expensive house, he's like, "Oh, what advice would you have for my 17-year-old daughter, or for me to say to my daughter?" And presenter, Deborah, said 2 things. 1, tell your daughter every day that she can do anything she wants. And then 2, always be her biggest champion, no matter what. So I say that story because I see so many people, they just keep building their mask of money, which, by the way, it's fine to have money. I mean, money is energy, but they just build this mask as a substitute for what actually matters. And I can see right through it immediately. And a tell is when they just talk about business. It's just a mask.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. I've done a lot of work in a lot of personality stuff and a lot of different work, and a lot of it, you talk about the mask. I mean, I realized I lived a lot of my life performing for others and wanting to please others. And when I felt they accepted who I was, they weren't really accepting me. They were accepting this mask or this person that I created.
How did that feel?
And it felt empty. And so, and then it was like that feeling of, if I really was myself, I really showed up who I am. And there's a difference between fitting in and belonging. And Brené Brown talks about this, like fitting 100%. In is like, you have to tailor who you are to that group. And
fitting in is, you just summed up most business owners, because they have to fit in with their own masks. I just don't. 1, I don't believe it. 2, I know that's what they don't actually want that, because I just talk to people constantly who are tired of being in their own mask. And then more importantly, was tired of being in rooms where mostly people are wearing masks and then trumpeting it. So I'm like, well, I'm tired of this. Make their own room where it's only visionaries, because visionaries do not want to hang out with people that are building their masks with ego. They don't want that. So create your own room.
It's the idea of, I've done some landmark education stuff, and they talk about getting authentic in the areas we've been inauthentic. 100%. And once we can actually get authentic, then, I mean, if we've ever been in a room, we can know those networking parties where like nobody can really be themselves, or they're kind of dancing around egos, or it's like the most empty thing. And I look back when I was in sales for 10 years, I did very well. But it was hard because I had to bring parts of myself, but not all of myself.
Sales means dull, dirty. That's what it literally means.
So let's talk. Let's go back. Let's go to, for someone listening to this. Let's say I'm 18 years old, or I'm 19 years old, or I have a child that's 18 or 19, and they're ambitious, they're motivated. What would you recommend someone does at that age to actually be more authentic in a career rather than just going for what the money or the other things are?
Um, so most of my day is with my family or talking to the world's top entrepreneurs. The two of the smartest ones I've talked to in the last, I don't know, 6 months. One was 12 and one was 15. And it's because they weren't damaged by ego yet. They weren't damaged by the masks. Not yet, hopefully not. So the 18-year-old is, I guess, I mean, I don't like giving advice because everything to me, like people ask all the time, they're like, oh, would you have changed anything in your past? No, because I wouldn't be sitting here right now if I had
Wouldn't be who
changed
I
it.
am.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't want to change anything. What I will say is trusting, I will answer that. So like I used to think the most important pattern, because my brain and heart turn everything into patterns, but it used to be right mindset attracts right network, creates right opportunities. Right mindset attracts right network, creates right opportunities. It's actually wrong. Learned it recently, but it's actually grateful heart. Grateful heart creates abundant mindset, creates exponential network, creates limitless opportunities. So it actually starts with your heart. So the mindset thing, while it's great, it's actually wrong. It's the high IQ that bypasses the high EQ, heart, intuition. Yeah.
So I guess it would be to start with your heart and not just live from what it sounds like a great idea. Is that what you're saying?
Really good simplification and a great follow-up question by you. If it feels right in your heart and your gut, that to me is the ultimate simplification or it's the ultimate idea. Very rarely happens to me. With this company, BrEpic Network, I felt it immediately, and it was this was a long time ago now, 3 years ago, and was driving in my car. I like to drive fast because it driving fast for people like us, I think actually is like our normal speed. So it was driving, and then I saw what this company was going to be, and I just floored it. Just floored the accelerator. And I think that type of feeling, really understanding that and being aware of that, and then not making excuses. You just go for it. You go all in. No matter what anyone says, you just go for it. And I think that's the only way to live life.
Yeah, no, I get that. And that's not everybody's geared that way, but that's the way
Most people are not geared that
You're
way,
right.
and almost no one is geared that. I would say we partner with maybe 1 out of 1,000 people. Most people think that's a small number, but 1 out of 1,000, if there's 8 billion, that's 8 million. So there's 8 million,
Yeah.
8
Yeah.
million visionaries.
That's not a
But
lot though. I mean, that's a lot, but it's not a lot. But
in my world,
fair enough.
it's pretty much only that now,
Yeah.
which is great. It takes I mean, almost 47. It took 42, 43 years of talking like this, but now it's exponential, and then have the pieces in place to actually build the company, because I can't build a SaaS platform or create in-person events or we have our own TV channel now that is 35 million reach. We're having an MBA program that's affiliated with Oxford. One of our members is the former global head of entrepreneurs organization. So she and her partner started a global school of entrepreneurship that we're offering to our members. But I'm not able to do any of that stuff. I just want to talk to people like us and connect them. And then
Yeah.
whatever happens from that, great. As long as it's part of purpose, that's really all I care about.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. There's a lot of people that I think wrestle with discovering their purpose, right? So anybody listening can say, hey, I want to get to a place where I know I'm here. And I personally think it's the reason why we have so much depression, why we have so much
Absolutely.
just people chasing things and then
They're
getting
not
what they
listening to
want.
their inner voice. They're
And
not
they're not.
listening to what they're supposed to be doing.
And so how do you like, I guess for somebody listening, I've had multiple iterations where I keep coming back to, okay, what am I here to do? What am I here to do? And
Oh,
what's my, whether it's your God-given purpose or your discovered purpose or unique
higher
ability
power.
or all
Yep.
of these things,
Yep.
like,
Yep.
what's that process look like? I mean, does someone have to get to a place of brokenness for that to happen? Or if somebody's listening, like, hey,
Tremendous
what steps
question.
do I need to do to get where I'm actually fully open to take the mask off and discover what I'm here to do?
Okay. Wow. One of the best questions I've ever heard. Several questions, but I'll get
Yeah.
some. All right. So, for those who have not read The Alchemist, great book. Here's the
Great
back
book.
cover. This is the cliff notes of the cliff notes of the cliff notes, because this is really all that matters. To realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation. To realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation. That's it. All this other stuff is a mask to me. It's not neither right or wrong. It's just how I live my life. So that's it. Once you find your purpose, you never stop. You just keep going. You keep going. Okay. So to do that, what I've seen, and again, everything, I was a journalist for 20 years. Now all I do is talk to people and really, really create like almost like a digital newspaper, like a grateful newspaper now, like every day with a grateful journal, or grateful journal to my wife, or best part of day, or, things I'm thankful for. It's like a grateful media posting every day. It's very interesting, like a new way of media. So everything's a pattern, and there are 4 things that separate visionaries, the ones who will find their destiny no matter what. And maybe that's what a visionary is, as opposed to a business owner. A visionary is someone who just finds their destiny and won't stop. So thanks for asking all, but
Yeah,
that's
no,
actually probably what it is.
well,
That's
because I think like we have these moments. For me, I got divorced 7 years ago and just went through a
right.
time where it's, the dark night of the soul. Like, what am I here? What am I doing? And this happened
Right.
multiple times. I remember I was out of college and was fired from a job. It's a whole long story.
Figure it out. Right.
And then you kind of go through this soul searching. Not everybody does, but people do. And I know that there's people that kind of feel a little stuck. That's like, I'm in this
Okay.
job, or I've got this many kids, or I'm in this, I got this
Yeah. See, a
situation.
visionary won't do that. That's okay.
Yeah,
So there are
they just
4
go for it.
things.
Yeah.
There are 4 things. 1, bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy. 2, depression. 3, highest level of anxiety you can imagine. 4, trauma as a child or young adult. For non-visionaries, for the non-destiny seekers, because I actually like that the best. A visionary, someone who will search for their destiny no matter what. So those 4 things for non-visionaries are excuses. For a visionary, that's actually
The fuel.
that's what creates, that's the fuel that actually creates the path to destiny, which is really fascinating. And I'll double down on that. I think it's actually the path that creates a higher level of consciousness, which creates the destiny. It goes hand in hand. It goes hand in hand. To me, and most of the visionaries that I talk to, not all, but most of them do believe in some sort of higher power. I think it's very hard not to do that, because then it becomes, you're the center of everything, and then it becomes more about ego. But to me, but honoring that higher power, and then trusting in that, and then never making an excuse ever. Just as a understanding, my father was 61 when I was born. 61.
Wow.
He was World War II hero, shot down multiple times in combat, many times without a parachute, and he would just get back into a plane. So most people can't. They're not going to do that. They wouldn't even think of doing that. But for me, that's the only thing to do. That's the only thing you can do.
Yeah. Gosh, there's so many things that brings up, but I think, for a lot of people, I just think of, as a visionary, somebody who wants to change the world, somebody who wants to make a difference. I want to go back to those 4 things you mentioned. You mentioned their bankruptcy, divorce, near bankruptcy, divorce, anxiety, and depression. I think were the other ones. So
bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy, depression, highest level of anxiety you can imagine. 4, trauma as a child or young adult. For those who know Rob Dubay and Gino Wickman, they just published a book called Shine, which is really good. Those 4 things, they included that in the book, which I'm grateful for. And then they added a 5th, or Gino added a 5th, addiction. So visionaries could be addicted to alcohol, drugs, cheating on spouse, work, business, scaling. I'm just addicted to network and destiny, actually, just frankly, just a destiny, actually, at this point. It's not even anything else.
Yeah, and it's a belief though too of all those things that they don't happen. Life doesn't happen to us; it happens for us. That again, a lot of great people have these incredible challenges, and I find it's interesting. It comes back to the parenting question as well, because I know I have a child; she's 11, and there's a desire to want to protect and want to nurture and support, but also I want to see her fail. I want to go and difficult things, and we're trying soccer now. Now we're trying karate. Now we're doing and to sometimes get totally defeated, and then come back and realize oh, I can do it, and learn that inner strength. Because a lot of times kids come from affluent backgrounds or other types of things. So let's ask that question this another way. If somebody is a successful business person or a visionary, how do you help your kids develop this kind of resilience? Or how do you, I guess, is it just some are visionary, some are not, but how would you, just in general for everybody, how would you develop resilience in some of those type of situations?
Great. I do think some of it is genetic for sure. Our sons are 11 and 9. They're both unemployable. They're bigger visionaries than I am. I don't really need to say anything to them, other than making them aware of things by asking questions. So I don't want to say his name, but because it's unfair. But one of my friends, his biological father raped his mom, and that's why he's here. And he's Native American, so he's creating tech to help Native Americans help them, because Native Americans in the United States very, very impoverished, very sad, and he has the IQ and EQ to create something that'll help them. But we were talking on Necker Island. He was there. That's where Sir Richard Branson lives, and we were talking in a building called the Temple. That's where Sir Richard created the thing called the Elders, which is what, Mandela was in that, and Tutu, and I think Oprah was in that. But so we were talking about this, and then what he said was better questions lead to better answers, lead to better people. So better questions lead to better answers, lead to better people. So
Wow.
asking better questions to children. So I don't, we talk about sports here and school stuff, human stuff, but then we talk about spending time and what the meaning of life is, and IQ versus EQ, and then things like that. And I've seen, although our kids like make fun of me for that, I also see them listening and then really critically thinking about it. And that's really exciting to see that. By far, that's the best part of entrepreneur life, is that the kids get to see this world exist, and then they can do whatever they want with it. And then to double down on what you said, all this complaining nonsense that many parents allow their children to do, I don't understand that. I don't understand coddling children. Like, it's very confusing to me, because when that happens and kids don't know how to do anything, it usually ends up very badly. So putting kids in difficult situations, or letting them figure out the solution. And then my advice to the children is misdemeanor okay, felony not. That's my entire advice to them. That's not a joke. I'm not kidding about that.
Okay. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, give us, I know you wrote the book Epic Business, which I have listened to, and
Yeah.
Epic Anxiety, as you've said. So
Yeah.
what's like, if somebody, obviously there's 30 lessons in here. What's your favorite secret or that you
And
learned
that one?
from that one?
Only partner with people who look at things as investments, not costs. So if someone asks, what do you cost or charge, they're not a visionary. We partner with visionaries that have three attributes. One is they're visionary, so they're not business owners. They see things very clearly. They're on a journey. Two, they live in full abundance, no scarcity, no excuses ever, no excuse. And then the third one, this is where the fake visionaries, they get trapped. They trap themselves really with their mask. But a true visionary will only look at things as investments, not costs. You can't be a visionary if you live in cost scarcity world. You can't, because you're your own limiter. And a true visionary will never stop their own purpose with their own limitations. They would never do that.
Yeah. Is there any, sounds like, when I've heard this visionary language and stuff from you, when we've talked at our conversations, I haven't really heard anybody talking about this, but I know you said this book Shine has come out. Is there any other people that have talked about this, kind of some of the difference between a visionary versus other leaders or entrepreneurs? Or is there some other kind of resources out there?
Sure. So Epic Life, the second book, that book's, I'm very grateful Dr. Peter Diamandis wrote the foreword, and then it's how to build collaborative global companies while putting your loved ones first. And to simplify, so business owners care about revenue, employee count, office space, transactional things. They're trying to change their world. Their true visionary cares about purpose, destiny, spending time with loved ones, community, network. They're changing the world. It's a fundamental difference, the versus their world thinking and feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great, man. Well, I just really want to honor you, man. I've learned a lot from being around you. We've talked, personality tests before and other things, just getting in the right seat. And I think there's really something to that, of getting in the right seat with whatever you're doing. How can people follow you, get your book, or hear about what you're doing? I know you're doing all kinds of stuff about your mastermind. How can people connect with you?
Thank you. Grateful. Just a great interview. BrEpicNetwork.org is the main site. BREPIC network.org.
Awesome. Well, Justin, just really appreciate you, man. Looking forward to seeing you hopefully sometime in person, and I'm very grateful to have met you and done this interview. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, so I love this interview with Justin Breen. Very colorful guy, all kinds of great stuff, does stuff a little different. And when I found people do things differently, sometimes, if you watch successful people, they do things very, very differently. And I think it's great who you associate with. He's associating with amazing, amazing people. He's really connected to his purpose. There's that famous Bible verse says, without vision, people perish, right? So getting a purpose, getting a vision for ourselves is super important. And then I think what I really took away from this is there's those four major things that he mentioned, right? If somebody's been through, sometimes it's some of them or all of them, but childhood trauma, depression, a lot of anxiety, and there's one other one, maybe addiction or something else. And if those have happened, then a lot of times people will have this drive to want to impact others. Or I guess it was one was near bankruptcy was the other one. And so we'll have a drive to impact others. So it's the idea that life doesn't happen simply to us and we're victims, but it happens for us. So we can actually make a difference and we can actually help. If you think about the things in your life that really matter or that you really want a legacy you want to leave, it's typically around things that have happened to you or happened in your life or that you have personal interaction, some sort of personal experience with. So I hope you enjoyed this interview. You can check out more of Justin's stuff online. Great guy. And thanks for taking the time to educate yourself. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Mailbox Money Show. You've been listening to the Mailbox Money Podcast. For more free resources, articles, and videos, go to bronsonequity.com. There you can download your copy of the special report, The Single Best Investment Strategy During and After a Pandemic. None of the information shared here is an offer to buy a specific investment, and this is for educational purposes only. Consult your financial, legal, and tax professionals and use your own common sense before making any investment decisions. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to tune in next time for more Mailbox Money.